What's going on, everybody? John the Torres here, and as you can see, I'm sweating my ass off. It's hot and humid in this room, but anyways, that's not the focus of this video. What is the focus of this video is you are now tuned in to the newest element of my channel, the Torres Zone. All right, everybody. So if you're wondering to yourself, well, the Torres Zone, what's that about? Well, I'm going to tell you what that's about. The Torres Zone is basically just going to be me, John the Torres, talking about anything and anything that has to do with travel. And to be more specific, it's going to be just me talking about my views, opinions, advice, tips from my travel experiences. But my main goal with the Torres Zone is to help you, whomever you are, get better prepared for your next travel adventure and for your next travel destination. So let's get to it. So, all right, everybody, to kick off this newest element to my channel, the Torres Zone, I'm going to be talking about the top 10 things to know before you go Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And before I hop into the top 10, I just want to make mention of something. Now, there might be a couple things that I say throughout this video that may discourage some of you from going out to Rio. And I just want to let it be known that that is not my intentions. Rio de Janeiro, it's a beautiful city, a lot of beautiful sights, a lot of fun things to do. It is well worth the visit. So don't let a couple things that I say throughout this video make you get cold feet on going out there. It is a city where you don't want to let your guard down. You always want to be alert and be aware, but we'll get into that a little later on. So let's get to it. The Rio de Janeiro top 10 things to know before you go. Sorry, everybody. I had to close the windows behind me. As you can see, some tough rain moving in. It's a bit of a rocky start here to the Torres Zone, but it's all good. So I'm going to hop into number 10, things to know before you go Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And this is a very important one. And this is something that you do not want to forget. And it's something I almost forgot. Thankfully, I didn't. And what I'm talking about is the universal adapter plug. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to notice right away when you get out to Rio is the plugs are not the type of plugs that you're accustomed to seeing when you're back in, say, the United States or other countries throughout South America. You're going to notice that the plugs out there are usually made up of 3 dotted holes or 2 dotted holes. Now, the universal adapter plug is very important to have because, say, if upon arrival to the airport, you need to make an important phone call, you need to use your Maps application, or you need to order an Uber and your phone is dead, well, you're going to have a bit of a stressful moment because you'll come to find out very quickly that the plugs out in Rio are not the type of plugs that you would find elsewhere. So to avoid all of that stress and all of that headache, bring yourself a universal adapter plug. They're very inexpensive. They run about $8 to $10. You can find one on Amazon. You can find one at your local electronics store. And just make sure you have this. Enough said. All right, everybody. So jumping into number 9. And you probably heard this many a times if you've done your research on Rio in the past. And what that is know at least the basics of Portuguese. And I'm talking hello, hola, obrigado, thank you, obrigada if you're a female. Almost everybody that you bump into speaks Portuguese, whether you're going to a bar, a restaurant, even checking in at your Airbnb, everybody speaks Portuguese. I ran into, I could probably count them on one hand as far as how many people I met who speak English out there. Also, if you are a Spanish speaker, if you speak Spanish and if you understand Spanish, your time out there is going to be a lot easier because Portuguese resembles Spanish in many, many ways. Just even me talking to a waitress, talking to a bartender, although they were speaking to me in Portuguese, I could make out what they were saying because it was kind of Google translating in my head into the Spanish language. And when I spoke back to people, it was just me basically speaking Spanish with a splash of Portuguese. So once again, know the basics. And if you're a Spanish speaker, you're going to have a lot more of an easier time. So There you have it. So, all right, everybody, jumping into number 8. And this is especially for the first time visitors to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The two main places that you're going to want to stay at when you're out there is Copacabana and Ipanema. Copacabana and Ipanema have the two most popular and beautiful beaches, in my opinion, when you go out to Rio. A lot of beautiful views that surround the beaches, as well as a lot of beautiful sights that surround the beaches. Two neighborhoods where you'll find many hotel options, Airbnb options, bars, restaurants, grocery stores, anything that you need to make your stay a lot more comfortable, as well as safety. These two areas are very safe. That's not to say that you won't find people who are shady characters or who are trying to pickpocket you or just pickpocket anybody in general. So that goes back to just being aware and not letting your guard down. But overall, those are the two places that you're gonna want to stay at if you are a first time visitor to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. All right, everybody, moving on to number 7, and this is kind of gonna be a 2-in-1 type deal. First off, cash is not always king in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Now, let me tell you something. When you visit cities throughout South America, Central America, the Caribbean, it's always good to have some cash handy with you, right? So you can pay for your taxi, you can go get a bite to eat. I came to find out very, very quickly that Rio de Janeiro is a card friendly city, credit card, debit card. Even on the beach, I went to Copacabana Beach for the first time. And I was just planning on sitting on the sand, taking it easy. I didn't have any cash with me, just my card. And one of the vendors came up to me, very sweet lady. She said to me, "Hey, you want a chair? You want an umbrella?" I said, "Oh, thanks. I'm good. I don't even have cash with me." She goes, "Oh, no, that's fine. You can pay with your card if you have a card." I'm like, "You don't say." She's like, "Yeah." She showed me the device. You can insert your card. It's very professional, straightforward. You can pay for food, drinks with all with your card. You don't have to worry about stepping outside with a big wad of cash. And it surprised me because, like I said, other places that I have visited, you want to have some type of cash with you when you're stepping out. In Rio, not necessary. Credit card, and you're good to go. And the other thing that I wanted to touch upon is the price. Wow. Rio de Janeiro is a very, very pricey city. Whether you want to go get a bite to eat, you want to go get some drinks, you want to do some excursions, a tourist attraction, wow, it is very pricey. There was a couple times there when I went out for a bite to eat at a casual restaurant, nothing fancy, just a sit down. Hey, I want rice with steak with fries and a water, and I was paying anywhere from $12 to $18. And even Sugarloaf Mountain, a very, very popular tourist attraction there in Rio. So when you visit Sugarloaf Mountain, the way you get up to the top of the mountain to have those beautiful 360 views of the city is you need to take a cable cart. A cable cart will bring you up to Sugarloaf Mountain. And to take that cable cart going up and coming back down, I paid about equivalent to $30. It was surprising to me because I felt like it was definitely not worth no $30, maybe half of that, $15. That would have been more fair. As well as when I went out to the Christ the Redeemer, I took one of the trains that take you up to the statue, take you up and take you back down. That was about $20. So yeah, I must say it is an expensive city. So make sure you got some good coins set to the side before you head out and visit Rio. All right, everybody, moving on to number 6 on this list. And some of you might find this laughable, but I'm sure you won't find it too laughable when you taste it for yourself. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the food and the drinks. I tell you what, Brazilians love to put a heavy amount of salt and sugar in the food and the drinks. Almost everywhere that I went to, whether I ordered chicken and rice, chicken and steak, spaghetti, it was salted up to the max. Especially when I ordered my coffee, my morning coffee, way too much sugar. Some places they have you put your own sugar in it, but other places they'll put the sugar in it for you. Also, the popular adult beverage, the caipirinha, It's a drink that you'll see almost everyone sipping on. Caipirinha resembles a mojito. It's made with lime juice, sugar, and the popular Brazilian rum cachaça. But again, the amount of salt and sugar that is used out there is overdoing it. No question, overdoing it. So keep that in mind. If you're not big on the salt and the sugar, it's something that you're going to be dealing with a lot. All right, everybody, moving on to number five. Number five is the Rio de Janeiro nightlife. Now, to be honest, I wasn't too impressed with the nightlife there in Rio. You know, when you think of Rio, you think of just a party city. You think of an energy that is just through the roof, that is unmatchable, uncomparable. And I didn't really feel that. I didn't really feel that, and I didn't really see that. But let's talk a little bit more about this. So the top three areas as far as nightlife goes is Copacabana, Ipanema, and Lapa. The Lapa District, Lapa Zone, whatever you want to call it. So Copacabana, as far as nightlife is concerned, you want to be right there on Copacabana Beach. So from end to end, you'll find many beach bars that are, for the most part, a social scene. There's some places that have live music. You can just order a bite to eat, have a caipirinha while you listen to the sound of the waves, and just enjoy the vibes there on Copacabana Beach. But the downside is things start to wrap up at midnight. So if you're planning on hanging out until 1, 2 in the morning, it's not going to happen because at midnight, everything starts to close down. If you want to keep the party going till later, you can head over to Ipanema. Ipanema, it's for the most part a social scene, a lot of outdoor seating, people chatting, people drinking. You will find clubs there. The clubs are all right in my opinion. It all depends on what type of vibe you're looking for. But if you head over to Lapa is cool because it has a mix of everything. It has a social scene, it has a club scene, it has bars, it has restaurants. It definitely is more lively on the weekends. If you go there on say on a Monday or a Tuesday, it's almost a ghost town, to be honest with you. But again, towards the weekend, it's a more lively area. And Lapa is pretty much that top attraction when it comes to nightlife. You can even look up on YouTube Rio de Janeiro nightlife, and almost every video that will pop up is gonna say Lapa, 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 Lapa. So again, nightlife in Rio, there's not too many options. So when you go out there, it's more than likely you're gonna be making a trip to Lapa. All right, everybody, moving into number four. And this one's going to be a quick and brief one. And what I'm about to say pretty much goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. And this one is especially for the solo travelers, is when you are at the beaches out in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, do not, I repeat, do not leave your belongings unattended, whether it's your clothes, your headphones, your cell phone. Pay attention to your stuff at all times. Don't take everything that you have, place it in a bag, tuck it under your seat, and hop in the ocean and expect for all your things to be just fine. Because I'll tell you what, those beaches get crowded, and sometimes it's a bit tough to tell who's a thief and who's not a thief. He or she could be sitting right next to you, and you don't even know it. Because the moment that you hop in the ocean, if a thief sees your belongings unattended, they will, without hesitation, snatch whatever they can of yours and take off as quick as they can. And by the time you notice it, and by the time you're getting out of the water, it's too late and you're left upset and frustrated. So to avoid all that headache, again, pay attention to your stuff and never, I repeat, never leave it unattended. All right, everybody, moving on to number three. And number three, this is an important one right here. And this is one that you're going to want to pay close attention to. And, you know, it's something that it's common sense, but sometimes a lot of people lack that. And, you know, if you have one takeaway from this video, I think this will be it right here, which is when you're in Rio, do not, I repeat, do not show off signs of wealth. It's a huge mistake. Don't walk around with fancy name brand clothing, a big gold chain, a fancy watch, expensive shoes. Don't do it. You're making yourself a target. you're setting yourself up for failure. I tell you what, those thieves out there, they are on some. They are just ruthless. Um, when they have a window of opportunity to snatch something that looks to have any type of value, they're gonna go for it. They're not gonna hesitate. I'm gonna share with you this story, a true story. So one day, I'm walking on Copacabana Beach. I just got done sending a text message. I put my phone away, walking the beach, and I see these three guys. They're looking at me, and at first I'm thinking, okay, are these the vendors for the chairs and the umbrellas? But I'm looking at them and I'm no, these ain't no vendors. These guys are bad news. And I'm thinking, okay, I can either keep walking or I can turn around, give them my back, but then they can strike if I got my back turned. So I'm thinking, all right, I'm gonna keep walking. Was that the smart move? Who knows? But then all of a sudden, the guy who was in the middle points off to his right. He points off to his right, and then he starts running, and his buddies are running behind him. And I'm looking, and I'm seeing, okay, why are these guys running? They were just, laser focused on me. Now they're running, and the next thing you know, the kid who started running first just clotheslined the out of somebody who was just minding his business, who was just enjoying his day at the beach. And then the next thing you know, his two buddies come up and they start beating on this guy. And I'm thinking, oh, that could have been me. That could have been me. And I'm thinking, okay, you know what? Maybe this isn't a beach day. So I ended up leaving. And as I'm leaving, I look across the street and I see this other guy getting attacked. And like I said, those thieves, they are ruthless. They are ruthless and relentless. So just keep in mind, the moment that you show off any type of signs of wealth, you could fall victim to having a negative incident happen to you. That's all I got to say about that. All right, everybody, we're almost nearing the end with this. 8 down, 2 to go. We're going to move on to number 2. And number 2 is going to be about places to go, things to see, things to do, all that good stuff. I'm not going to make this too long and dragged out. I'm going to be as straightforward as possible. So starting off with number 1, and I'm sure most of you already know what I'm going to say. The number 1 thing to do when you're in Rio is pay a visit to Christ, the Redeemer. Your trip to Rio de Janeiro is not complete without visiting Christ the Redeemer. When you get to the top, you have 360 views of the city. You'll see all the mix of the neighborhoods, ocean views, mountain views. You'll get to meet fellow tourists who traveled many, many hours, just like yourself, to be there at Christ the Redeemer and to take in that moment. Moving on to the number 2 is Sugarloaf Mountain. Sugarloaf Mountain is a natural wonder in the city of Rio de Janeiro. The way you get to the top of Sugarloaf Mountain is by taking the cable cart. You can get your tickets online, or you can visit the ticket booth located outside of the cable cart station. Round trip ticket costs $30. A little pricey in my opinion, but it is worth it. Much like Christ the Redeemer, 360 views of Rio. You have especially a very nice view of Copacabana Beach. That's something you don't really get at the top of the Redeemer. And you can see the planes arriving at the smaller airport there in Rio. I can't think of the name, but I'll put it up on the screen. Sugarloaf Mountain, definitely worth a visit. Number 3 is the Cimarron Steps, located in the Lapa district. The Cimarron Steps were created by the famous artist by the name of George Cimarron. He was born in Chile, and his idea and vision in creating these Cimarron Steps was for a tribute to not only Rio but for the world. When you visit the Cimarron Steps, you'll see a mix of tiles scattered from ground level all the way to a hilltop, and just many different messages and pieces to the puzzle almost to just what this big old thing that we call Earth is all about. Moving on to number 4 is a visit to the favela. Now, I believe Rio has 6 favelas. The main one that you want to visit is the Rosina favela. That's the more tourist friendly. The other ones, not so much. Also, when you go to Rosina, make sure you do it with a tour group, because if you go by yourself, it's probably not the best idea. As well as the favelas can be a bit complicated to move around and to just find your way around, because the streets and the alleyways and whatnot are almost like spaghetti. So it's a bit crazy trying to move around in the favela. Moving on to number 5 is sunset time. Sunset time in Rio de Janeiro is just breathtaking. You know, the sun itself and the sunset skies. The 2 top places for sunset time is number 1, the neighborhood of Ulca. Ulca is right by the Bay of Rio. It's a more chill, relaxing place. You can sit up on the wall there that they have that wraps around the neighborhood and have yourself a couple beers, maybe chat with the locals. And number 2 is the rock right by Ipanema Beach. So to be more specific, this rock is located right in between Ipanema Beach and Copacabana Beach. You'll find a large group of people just hanging around there pretty much all day, but especially sunset time. That's the best, in my opinion, that's the best place to catch them sunset skies. And last but not least, the beaches. So the top beaches to visit there, as I've been saying throughout this video: Copacabana Beach, Ipanema Beach, Red Beach, which is located right outside Sugarloaf Mountain, and Flamengo Beach. Flamengo Beach is located pretty much right in between Copacabana and Rio's International Airport. So in other words, it's halfway in between those 2 locations. So there you have it. Those are the top places, well, in my opinion, to visit, to see, to go. And there's many other things to do in Rio, but if you don't have enough time, or if you want to do the most popular things, there you go. All right, everybody. So moving on to number 1. Number 1 is a big one, no pun intended. Now, when you go anywhere in this world, the place itself does not make the place. The people make the place. Now, I noticed out in Rio, the people were hard to understand. And I don't mean that as far as the language. I just mean that, like, as far as a connection, or just an energy. I feel like people in Brazil are, for the most part, friendly, but I also felt people were standoffish at times. You know, I had moments where I didn't feel too welcome. I didn't feel a warmth. I didn't feel a charm. You know, for those of you who know me, you know that I love to travel to Colombia. And Colombia is a place where, whether you find yourself in Cartagena or Medellin, you're going to be received with so much love. And again, warmth and a charm, and just that Colombian hospitality. And not just from the Colombians, but also from Venezuelans, because there's a lot of Venezuelans who live in the country of Colombia. And, you know, I always looked at Brazil like a culture similar to the Colombian culture. And when I went out to Rio, I was kind of expecting that. I was expecting that, and I was hoping for that in a way. But I can't really say that I did, and I can't really say that the people out there received me with open arms. You know, there was a few moments where I had out there that, kind of, it rubbed me the wrong way. You know, nothing highly negative, or nothing really that, it impacted my thoughts or feelings on Brazil or the city of Rio. As I said at the top of this video, I don't discourage anybody from visiting Rio or the country of Brazil, but I just wish I had more of a better experience with the people of Rio. But in the end, that's what travel is all about, right? You know, you have a destination in your mind, and you build it in your mind on what you can expect or what awaits. You get out there, maybe it's not everything that it was cracked up to be, or maybe it's not what you hope for. But it's all good because you were able to have that experience. Like me, I've been wanting to go out to Rio for many years now, and I'm glad I finally got it on my system. Will I go back? I don't know. I don't know if I will, but I'm glad I finally got the opportunity to go out there, despite overall the experience not being a wonderful and out of this world experience. I'm still grateful and thankful that I got to see it with my own eyes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the very first and newest element to my channel, the Torres Zone. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you found this video helpful. You know, I've had it in my mind for quite some time to bring the Torres Zone to life, and it feels so great that I did. You know, I'm just filled with so much emotion right now, and just a natural high. You know, words can't explain. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Torres Zone. I'm John the Torres, and I'm signing out.